My briefing is called A Road Trip Through Adobe Mobile Apps. When you work with mobile apps, your files sync to everything you have. For instance, your desktop, laptop, iPad, Chromebook, and mobile phone, all through the Adobe Cloud. These are the free mobile apps, but Adobe has about 24 to date. I've chosen to just talk about the free apps because I know several of our members do not have the Adobe Creative Cloud yet. I am so impressed by what Adobe is doing with mobile apps that I just had to share with our members. Along the way in this presentation, I have taken parts of a couple of YouTube videos to give you a good idea of what an app can do. If you want to sync, store, and share files between mobile apps and the Creative Cloud, you will need to sign up for a Creative Cloud membership, either free or paid. The only difference is how much space you get. Notice what you get with the free Adobe Cloud membership. Adobe fonts, 2 gigabytes of storage space, which you will need to sync and share. You can purchase additional 20 gigabytes for $1.99 a month. New desktop application trials, some starter plans such as Spark, XD, Rush, Fresco. Since they are starter plans, you do not get the complete full product. Free access to Adobe Aero is on the iOS for iPhones or tablets and now on the desktop. And of course, you get the free mobile apps. This does get a bit complicated. I've given you the basics, but for the complete information, you'll have to go to adobe.com. I'm not sure Adobe supports Chromebooks for all apps. I know they mention them in Adobe Sketch. With Creative Sync, you can seamlessly move between multiple apps on your mobile device in one workflow. Here's an example. You are a designer creating a layout using Adobe Comp. You've placed an image in your layout, but the image needs work. For example, perhaps you want to remove the background from the photo. You tap the photo and Adobe Photoshop Mix automatically launches on your device with the image preloaded. If you don't have Mix installed, you are prompted to install it. You remove the background and composite the image until it's perfect. Then you close Mix, and thanks to Creative Sync, the new version of the image has been automatically placed into your layout in Comp. So let's get to it. With Adobe Scan, you can scan anything into a PDF using your mobile device. You can scan documents, whiteboards, forms, receipts, and more. Scans are saved to Adobe Document Cloud. When scanning, it accesses your camera. The wonderful part is that it captures the document's edges and crops it. Then you can save it as an Adobe Acrobat file. Then you can send it to yourself, share it, or save it in the Adobe Cloud, Dropbox, etc. I've used the Adobe Scan with my mobile devices numerous times, and it is great. The question is, what can I create with Aero? This is what Adobe says. With Aero, you can create immersive experiences and tell compelling stories. Help your audience visualize how a billboard will look in its physical environment, or create an engaging learning experience in which learners interact with digital and physical content. It is completely free. It sounds very complicated to me, and I have not used it. Adobe Capture is a pattern and vector maker. Perhaps you come across a font you love, but you don't know what it is or where to find it. Just use Capture and it will convert it for you, or one that is pretty close. If you need a gradient, it will capture the colors for you. You can use Comp CC to create wireframes or layouts for your Adobe Muse websites. This app is useful when you want to show your site layout to a client, or when you want to quickly create a mock-up of your website. Comp also gives you the freedom to experiment with various layouts before finalizing the layout. If you are using Adobe Muse for building websites, it was integrated with Adobe Comp and will no longer be supported in March. This is an example of a mock-up of a website. You can use Adobe Comp on the iPad, iPad Pro, iPhone, Android device, and Chromebook. If you want an app where you can draw, you can even use your finger to draw on these items. Show off your unique style with tons of Photoshop-worthy lenses and filters inspired by your favorite artists. With so many lenses, it's easy to swap them in and out and save your favorites. It allows you to stand out on social media, easily capture and share high-quality photos to your favorite social network. See yourself through the eyes of your favorite creators by using their custom-designed lenses. New lenses are added all the time, so there's always something to discover. Photoshop Fix puts professional Photoshop editing tools in a friendly mobile interface, so you can quickly repair or refine an image anywhere you are. And because it integrates with Creative Cloud, you can easily send your images to Photoshop, Lightroom, or Photoshop Mix to take them to the next level. Use Photoshop Fix to remove a logo in a photo with just the swipe of a finger, and then pop in your own logo using layers in Photoshop. On mobile, you can change his face and make him smile. Change the look of his eyes. Darken or lighten the picture. Take off some of the items you don't want. You can do it all with Photoshop Fix. I've included part of a video that really shows you what you can do with Photoshop Fix.
Adobe tutorial on iPhone. So in this tutorial, we're going to look at the Photoshop Fix app. Alright, so I'm going to open that app. And in that app, to open your project, you need to tap on the plus sign. First of all, just want to make sure that you sign into your Creative Cloud account or Facebook or Twitter so you could sync your files. Okay, this is a good feature in all the Adobe Photoshop applications available, and these apps can sync your photos through internet as well. So I'm just going to tap on the plus sign, and here you can see I've got a few options. I can open recent files, open file from my iPhone, Creative Cloud, Lightroom, Facebook, Dropbox. Okay, so you can capture the images straight away. Okay, so I'm gonna tap on this camera button, click OK to allow this, and then I can capture the image straight away in this app. Alright, this is basically a pretty simple app to capture the image. I'm gonna tap on cancel, and let's go open an image from my iPhone. Okay, so I've got this portrait in my phone to use that in this tutorial. So I'm going to open this portrait now. As you can see that we got a lot of pimples and marks on the pictures, right? So on the top, I've got my this icon which gives me the information about the picture. The next option we got here is basically sharing option. You can save this to your camera roll after you make changes. You can send this to Photoshop CC, Lightroom, all those options available here. So tap cancel, and let's have a look at the cropping option now. Okay, so I'm gonna tap on crop, and here I've got a free crop, unconstrained crop here, so I can just drag these vertices and just move. Once I'm happy with the crop, I can just tap inside that crop and I can move the image. Alright, so I'm just gonna apply this crop, right? But I want to make sure that that photo basically sits in my iPhone. So here, as you can see, that I've got some presets available here. I've got my 9:16 square, original, and free crop, right? So I want to keep that original, so I can just move the picture about here, and I will, to accept that, just tap on this tick mark sign and it will crop that image. Okay, alright, so I'm gonna go back to cropping option. On the left we got a rotating, so you can rotate your image on a 90-degree angle. You can flip your image horizontally by tapping on this button. You can flip this vertically by tapping on this button. So I'm just going to cancel that and go back to my main menu. The next we got adjust, right? So click on that. Here we got exposure, contrast, saturation, shadow, and highlights. Okay, so the exposure, to apply the exposure, tap on exposure, And as you can see that circle there, yeah, so drag that to the right to apply that, drag it to the left to decrease the exposure on the image. So I'm just gonna keep that way. Let's go to the contrast now. You can apply your contrast. Alright, so I'm just gonna apply a bit of contrast as well. Saturation, you can apply the same way you apply the contrast and exposure, this circle. Okay, so shadows, got my shadows options available here, and highlights. So I'm happy with that. So to accept that, tap on this tick mark sign. Okay, so next we're gonna look at the liquify. But before we go to the liquify, I want to show you the healing options. So this is the best options available in this app, and you don't find this in any other app available on iPhone. There are a few apps that offer this feature, but that doesn't work very well. Okay, so I'm just gonna zoom in. You tap with two fingers and just pan. So that's how you can zoom into the picture, right? And to pan around, you gotta use your two fingers and just move. Okay, so here I've got this some kind of mark on the body. Okay, so how do I remove that? Okay, so make sure you're on a spot heal option, and then click on this brush icon. Here you can choose hardness of the brush. If you slide your finger up by tapping on this, first of all tap on this and then move your finger up, it's going to increase the hardness. If you take it down, it's going to decrease the hardness. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that here. Okay, and on the top you got your size as well, so you can increase the size of the brush and you can decrease the size of the brush as well. Okay, so I'm happy with that, and all you gotta do is just tap on the object. Okay, it's gonna remove that. Okay, so if I just tap my finger and just move around, it's gonna get rid of that. Okay, let's get rid of these marks as well. So I'm just gonna tap here and get rid of this a bit more. Okay, which is really cool feature, right? So you got rid of these. The next we got patch options. So patching is basically the same thing. You can tap and then you can just move. Let's say if I just tap here and just move here, it's gonna patch that area. It's gonna go to the closer pixels and calculate that, and it's gonna apply those pixels to the patching area, right? Clone stamp is the same feature that you use. You tap on something and then you tap and then just move your finger like that, and it is going to clone that area to the wherever you tap. Okay, so you can always go back by pressing this undo button. This is the cloning. I'm gonna redo that to get rid of that red eye fix. So to move my picture upward, so tap the two fingers and just move it up. Okay, so here you can see that I've got no red eye here. So if I apply this feature, it's gonna tell me no red eye detected. So if you have red eye in your portrait picture, you can get rid of that, which is really easy. Okay, restore is basically, let's say if I want to bring back that pimple, so tap on this restore button and just move, that will come back. Okay, but I don't want that for now, so I'm gonna undo that. Okay, and then accept that. The healing option is really good in this app. Okay, so now let's have a look at the liquify option. Okay, I'm gonna go tap on a liquify. The first option I've got a wrap. Okay, so if I tap on this, I'll get to choose the brush size. Okay, I can change that to grid so I could see wherever my wrap is applying. So I'm gonna just decrease that. Okay, so now what do you do in that circle? If you move your finger, it's gonna just liquefy that. So if any one of you watching this video familiar with Photoshop app, which is available on Windows and Mac, is you have that liquefy option there. Okay, so I'm just gonna undo that. And the next we got swelling option. Okay, swell. Okay, so if you tap on the brush, you get to choose the brush size again. All right, and then you can just, if you move your finger down, it's gonna apply that effect. If you move your finger up, it's gonna apply that effect. Okay, so I'm just gonna move it up to bring it back, or I can just go and tap undo. Okay, this is basically swelling. Okay, twirl is basically twist that. If I just move my finger, it's gonna twist that face. That's how you can fix your picture, or you can destroy your picture completely. So let's go undo that. Okay, so if you make any changes, let's say you get this reconstruct option. So what it does is basically it's gonna bring back your original image. Okay, so you gotta hold down and then just move your finger around so it will bring back that picture. Okay, so I'm just gonna undo, and then the face option. Okay, so if you have a portrait picture, let me get rid of this grid first, and then if you have a portrait, right, so if you tap on the face option, okay, so you get to choose. These are, as you can see now, once I tap on this face option, I've got these bubbles on the picture. So let's say if I select this, let's say if I select the chin, once I select that chin circle, and then I get these 4 or 5 options here. So the first is face distortion. So if I select that, if I take the circle up, it's going to distort that face. It's going to just apply this effect. Okay, so you can see that.
My video and backup will be on our Web Spinners website, so you can go to the URL I've given you to see more of the video or repeat it. I was really impressed with Photoshop Mix. After using Photoshop Mix, I found out that it usually does not have to be finished up in Photoshop because it looks good just like it is. Of course, if you want to do more with it, you could use another editing program to refine it if you don't have Photoshop. In this photo, it started out with the photographer taking a picture of the cup and saucer. Then the photographer took a picture of the girl. The girl was put in the cup, and the ladder and birds were added. I'm going to show you a piece of a tutorial so you can see the process in action.
In this one, I want to go over how to use Photoshop Mix on iPhone and Android. It's the same for both because it's the same app. So what you can do is get Photoshop Mix opened, and then you're going to have to create a new project. You can do that by clicking the plus button in the top right hand corner, and it will go through to some different options. You can actually create a custom canvas, which is just essentially choosing the dimensions. So whatever dimensions that you want in terms of width and height, you can do that. I'm not going to do that though, so I'll cancel out of that. You can choose the camera option, which means that the camera will open up and you can take an image right then and there. Or if you want to upload an image you already have, just click the image option there, and it will take you through to the next page where you can download some images from other sites, for example, Facebook, Google Photos, or Dropbox. Or if you have them in your Creative Cloud from Adobe, you can use those too. But I'm just going to take some images that I have already on my phone. You just go through to Recents or whatever folder. You can choose the image that you want to edit. When you click on that, it will take it through to the new canvas. The new canvas will be sized in the size of the photo that you uploaded, unless you chose the custom canvas option and chose the dimensions yourself. Photoshop Mix is really mainly for a couple of things. The first is for cutting out images from a background, for example. So cutting out something from an image that you don't want, and also selecting parts of an image specifically to change in some way. So either to cut it out or to change the colors or the style of that specific thing in the image. So firstly, you can adjust the colors, the contrast of the image with the adjust button down in the left-hand corner. This isn't as good as the Photoshop app. So if you have the Photoshop Express app, definitely that is better and more robust for changing the colors and exposure, for example, but this does a decent job. You can use the autofix feature. As you can see, it's increased the contrast to make the flower stand out more. You can press that again to just take that away. You can also change the exposure of the image yourself and the contrast, for example, and just change everything like you would want. These are some basic tools, but they actually work pretty well, and for most people I think it's enough. Each time you make an adjustment, there will be a blue line under those, and you can also tap on or off, and if you take it back to 0%, so no change, the blue line underneath will disappear to show that there are no adjustments from what came in originally. I don't want any adjustments on this image, so I'm just going to press X, and all of those adjustments will be lost, and it will go back to the original image that came in. Then really the next main reason you would use Photoshop Mix is for the cutout feature. It's really the main event of this specific app from Photoshop. So if we press cutout, you're going to get some different options. Firstly is the auto option, and you're going to let the app choose the bit of the image that it wants to cut out. If I press this, it's obviously chosen the flower, which is obviously what I would want to cut out. As you can see, if I zoom in, it's not the best. It's made some errors, but overall, I would say it's done a pretty good job of cutting out what I wanted to be cut out and removing the background. That's a good option, and if you think the app's done a good job, you can then just tidy it up a little bit with the smart option. So as you can see, I have selected the smart option here, and you can either add or subtract. If I press add, and then use my finger to go around those black and white dots, that is all the stuff that's been cut out. You will see that the image now is coming back because I'm adding the image back in. You can go around the image and do that as much as you want. This is the smart feature, so no matter where you press, the app is going to be working in a smart fashion and just guessing what you want to actually add back in. If you've made a mistake, you can always press undo to get rid of those options. That was the add feature, and if I press the options on the left, I can also use subtract as well. I'm still in smart mode, so if I zoom in on this bit, which I would want to cut out, I can use my finger to go across it, and it will use these smart features to cut out the background that it missed when I pressed auto. You can use this across the whole image, and as you can see, it's quite good, although you don't really have any control over what gets cut out. It's still quite a blunt tool overall, but that is auto and smart. The other features that would enable you to be very precise really is the lasso, and again, you can add or subtract. With lasso, you just make a shape and close up the shape, and then it will work for you. So for example, if I add again with the lasso and just draw any shape around, and then close it up, there you go, it's added back in. If I want to subtract that, just change back to subtract, go around that, make sure it closes up, and that's taken out of the image. I can therefore use that exact same method to just go around parts of any image that you would want, following the lines quite precisely, making sure that the lasso is closed off. And there you go. The edges, I think, are actually slightly more subtle and slightly more accurate in this case because I have complete control over where they are. You can also be really intricate with this by zooming in really, really far. For example, I just want to add a little bit more of this flower because I think that there's some left. So you can be really, really intricate and add in exactly the parts of the image that you want and none of the bits that you don't. There are also shapes here, which is fairly self-explanatory. You can add or subtract by using shapes and then click on the shape icon. There's some shapes there. So for example, a triangle, you can click and drag to make it bigger, and then it will either add or subtract. When you're happy with the shape, just press anywhere on the image and it will do its job. If you're unhappy with any of your changes, you can go all the way back to reset, and it will reset the whole image, and of course press undo to just go back one edit. So I want to get rid of that triangle, so press subtract, doesn't look very good, press the lasso, and I'm fairly happy with this. So once you're happy with the cut out, just press the tick button to be done and save your edits. I can then go and change the background of this image by adding a new image on top or underneath. You can do that by pressing the plus button, and it will take me back to the options. So I'm just going to select another image from my recents. So for example, this one. And as you can see now, it's on top of the other image, which I don't want. So the way that you can change that is by pressing and holding that layer, making sure that you have it in hand now, and then you can drag it to below the other layer, and you'll see the flower now come on top of that layer, and that layer becomes the background with the flower in front of that layer. You can use that for as many layers as you want.
Photoshop Express is an amazing product. For instance, you can do many adjustment types. You can change the exposure, the luminance, the contrast, highlights, the shadows, the whites, the blacks, the saturation, the temperature. You can reduce the color noise, dehaze, correct red eye, sharpen, change the clarity. Only on the iOS, though, you can add text, replace eyes, and apply blur. Photoshop Sketch lets you create expressive drawings anywhere using natural drawing tools like pencils, pens, markers, and watercolor brushes to get all the textures and blending effects you'd get on paper. This is an example of Photoshop Sketch. That's all I have for now. I hope you use some of the Adobe apps and show us more of what you can do with them.